This week on TSENA, we have the pleasure of chatting to the vibrant Maria Valente De Almeida. A graduate of the Stellenbosch University, she now has a role on the popular telenovela Armsvlei. Let's go and meet her. Maria, thank you ever so much for joining me. Happy New Year and welcome.
Thank you so much, Ruan. I'm very excited to join you and to meet you, if I can say it like that, virtually. This is our meet and greet.
Yeah, exactly. So we are at the start of a new year. Not much has to be said about the year that we went through last year. At the very least, challenging. What are you leaving behind, and what are you taking with you this year or changing this year?
That's been a lot of reflecting actually to get to this point where I've decided that. But I think definitely leaving behind kind of perceptions of what I expect the future to be, leaving behind a lot of planning. And I'm not saying that planning isn't important. Planning is definitely important, but planning your life to the extent and then being upset that it doesn't end up that way is always a tricky situation, in my opinion. So that's why I think I've decided to leave behind some planning and just focus on being very, very present. That was kind of my mission for this year. Stay grateful and stay present. Make sure that I'm present in every moment, because I think we in this moment, but we're always looking there. We're wondering, we need to get to that point. We need to step on this ladder. We need to be at a certain point at a certain time. And then we just are so not present. We forget that things that we have now, we've been praying for and wishing for, but now we can't even enjoy it because we are so focused on over there. So I think definitely for this year, for lack of a better word, is saying I'm letting go and I'm letting God. I'm just kind of being so driven by faith this year.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a big fan of being present, really taking in, where you're at right now. So I definitely concur with that. So as they say, the best place to start really is at the beginning. So where did you grow up, and what was that like? Did you have family? Did you have a big, small family? How was that?
I actually had a big family. It was always weird for me when people would say they had their birthday, it was just their mother and their father, and I'd be like, what? That's so weird. We are a very, very close-knit family. It was my mom, my brother, my father, my uncle, my aunt, and my grandmother that stayed with us. I actually was born in Johannesburg. My mother moved to Johannesburg and met my father, and that's where I was born. And then when I was about 6 or 7 years old, we moved to Cape Town, and I've lived in Cape Town ever since. But yeah, we're definitely a big family. My aunts and my uncles are very, very much involved. They are actually my main supporters. So, and my brother and I actually, my brother is also my main supporter. He was like the MC to all the shows that I decided to put on when I was 7. Apparently that was a normal thing in our household. And the more I speak to other people, I realize that wasn't really a normal thing for other people. Wow. So I guess that's where my love for performance started. And then when I started primary school, I was also very fortunate to be in a primary school full of amazing teachers. I was at Gordons Bay Primary, and my teachers were so supportive. I think only when I got to high school and maybe even university, I realized how incredibly supportive my teachers were, because my friend at school, we would just decide, okay, ma'am, we have practiced a dance, so stop classes, we are going to perform now. And that was a very normal thing. We would constantly put on little dances. I think our first dance that we did, it was my best friend in primary school. The first dance we did was in grade 1 to Mary Mary's Shackles. Oh, wow. That was our very first. I know, how insane is that? That was our favorite song. Like my grade 1 teacher, whenever she sees me, she says whenever she hears that song, she thinks about me and being a little 7-year-old dancing in front of the class.
Then you mentioned university, going to study. So you then made the decision to go and study acting at Stellenbosch. When did that happen? When did you think, I want to do this seriously? I'm going to pursue this as a career.
It's it was a very tricky career move, if I can put it that way. I think I was very determined as a child, and I always loved performing. I think in grade 3, my love for acting really started when we had a little show in class, and I was chosen as a character, and I loved performing. Everybody was clapping and they were laughing, and I could see such joy that I brought these people just by like performing. And I it's so weird, but in that moment I really knew like this is what I want to do. When I was just before the end of grade 11, we had every 2 years a musical at our school, and at the end of grade 11 our drama teacher was pregnant, and she actually came from the UK, so she needed to leave, and they were like, sorry guys, that means no musical, nothing. And I was like, what? You know, you get to matric, you think like the lead roles are yours, you are so excited. And I was devastated, to say the least. But then I decided I'm not going to be upset about it. What can I do to change it? So I wrote a business proposal, and I wrote a musical, and I set up a meeting with our principal and with all the arts people at our school, all the arts teachers. And I proposed to them, I was like, if you don't want to do a musical, that's cool, but I want to. So I was like, here's my musical, there's my proposal, I'll do everything by myself. And they were like, cool, you can do it. We really don't have money as much as we'd love to give you money to do it, but you can do it. And I was like, cool, who needs money? I'll just do it. Yeah. Who needs money? So I will say that I was blessed with an amazing cast that really helped me with everything, because I choreographed all the dances, I did the directing, I did the producing, we had bake sales, and we made up the money. We bought our costumes. I bought all of our costumes at the Chinese shops. My mom and I were like sewing little things together, and that's how we made the musical. And then at the end of the musical, we performed for 4 nights, I think. On the second night, my mom came to come and watch me, and she was like, okay, if you can do this in the midst of matric year, and my grandmother had passed away that year, like just before my matric ball, and my mother was also very sick with cancer at that time, and she was like, if you can pull this off during everything else that has happened this year, then clearly drama is something that you want to do. So go ahead, my child, you have my blessing, you can do it. And that was the moment when everything changed, and I was like, okay, now I know I can really do this. And I was at home one day, and I got a letter in the post. And I mean, I got a letter, like, when do people post things? And I was like, but sends me letters. I was like, a letter to me? Cool. And I opened the letter, and it was a letter from Stellenbosch University saying that I had gotten a bursary that I did not even apply for.
Wow.
I really can't explain to you. It was the most insane thing. I phoned my mother. I was like jumping on the bed. I was like, I got a bursary. And my mother was like, just now it's like fakes, like scammers, like don't get too excited. And when she got home, we found the university, and they were like, no, we're waiting for her to come. Please come to Stellenbosch.
I do want to talk about how you got in, how the whole Arendsley thing came about, and how you found that experience up until now.
Well, Arendsley has been, my heart is with Arendsley. I can never ever, they have given me everything. But the casting was quite difficult, because it's so strange when people meet me now. They're like, oh, you've been Arendsley, so how can I also get in there? Do you know someone there? Are you friends with someone? And I'm like, no. Wow, guys, it was a journey to get on Arendsley. You don't even know. And they had me audition for 2 roles, for Samantha and for Deborah. Those were the sides we got.
Right.
And I was still reading Samantha's lines, and I was like, I don't know if this sounds like me. Samantha sounds a little bit more like casual, slangy, and I don't know. She was talking about stuur deegbrood, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think me and this character like at all. So strange. And I was like, cool, I like this Deborah, but I'm practicing both. I go into my casting, I do only Deborah's lines, and they're like, okay, thank you, you're done. And I was like, no. I've prepared both. I would like to do both, please. And he's like, no, it's fine. Like, we have enough. And I'm like, no, but I only did it once. Like, can't I go another time? And like, I need to. And he was like, thank you so much, Maria. That's all. And I was like, no. So I'm so prepared. like, how dare you tell me I can't?
Brilliant. So, I mean, you mentioned, your mixed background. I think one of the things that Arendsley is really good for at the moment is sort of representation. I mean, I think a huge group of people in South Africa, namely colored people, feel that there's now some sort of representation, that their story is being told. First of all, how did you get to deal with sort of your identity? That must have been, a confusing thing for you at some point. How did you deal with that? And how important do you think it is to have, programs like Arendsley, and to have representation in the media and on TV and so on?
It's definitely important, especially with my own kind of battle with my mixed raceness, because
Right.
I think then it was a challenging thing, and especially like that's why I said I was such a big fan of Joe Barber, because I love that was that representation that showed like our people, because people will look at me and they will assume I'm Caucasian, but my father's Portuguese, but I haven't seen my father in, I think, about more than 10 years. So, and the rest of my Portuguese family lives in Portugal. I grew up with my colored family all my life. That's the community I grew up in. All my aunties, uncles, cousins, family is all colored. So that was my community, and that was what I knew. So the challenging thing for me was actually going to university and people being like, "Why do you speak like that? Aren't you white?" And I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
That was where it was really like it opened my eyes to that quite a lot, because I mean I knew kind of at high school also it was the same, like you couldn't really hang out with the white kids because you weren't white enough, but you couldn't really hang out with the colored kids because you weren't colored enough, so you're like in this weird like little mixy zone of like,
Wow.
Okay, where do I fit in now? Yeah, it was quite challenging. The main question people would ask me all the time when I meet people is, so what are you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a human being. What are you? Like, I don't know. What do you want me to say? So it was very daunting, and that's why I'm very open about it, because I'm sure there's other mixed kids that feel the same way. And I didn't know who to see as a role model or who to look up to. It was very difficult. So that's why I'm super open about it. And I think representation is so important, because these were things, I mean, that's why I said Joe Barber was so important, because that was that representation. I mean, I knew an uncle like that. I knew an auntie that was like Washila. I like, you could see these people in our community. And that's what I love so much about Arendsley, is that we can see these people in our community. I mean, the writers, all of the writers, but especially Felton that came up with this concept, he's so linked to the people, because we speak like the people speak. We are such a representation of our own communities, and that's why I think it's so important to every single actor that's on Arendsley. There's not an actor that steps onto Arendsley that doesn't see the importance of what we are doing. It's so important to represent our people and to show what is happening in our communities and to highlight these negative things, because colored people, especially like our communities, have always been represented in such a stereotypical way, and it's not at all like that. And that's why I love that Arendsley like pushes away from the stereotypes, and a lot of the actors as well. If we will say like, we don't know about this, and the floor is open. The floor is open for that.
Amazing.
And that is what I really love about it. So it gets us to really be that reflection of humanity that we are supposed to be.
There's so much that we can talk about, but time doesn't allow us necessarily. So I just have some quick fire questions, right?
Okay.
Just the first thing that comes to you. So number one on your bucket list.
Number one on my bucket list, travel. Definitely travel. I've never been outside of South Africa, so travel 100%.
Yeah, and do you have a specific destination in mind at all?
I think, especially to just connect to myself, I think I would want to go to Portugal.
I get that. The last time you sang to yourself?
I sing to myself daily, actually.
Yeah.
But I would not let the public hear that, because I will be scared that I might just crack the eardrums. But I love singing, so I do it for myself, and my boyfriend has to just accept it, because I sing to him all the time. I make random songs about everything. So
And the last time you cried?
yesterday.
Yeah?
I cried yesterday. Yeah, it wasn't any. I think I'm actually, just because of, I don't know, this year, I'm trying to just be so present. It was yesterday, and it was the strangest thing. It wasn't even for anything hectic. I was watching my favorite movie, Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. The end, I just burst out crying. Even my boyfriend was like, "Wait, why are you crying?" And I was just like, I don't know. One day I would love to be able to watch a movie like that and see myself there. And that was it.
The last time you laughed out loud?
All the time. Right now. I try to make laughing a daily habit. I try to make it something that I do all the time.
Yeah.
I'll probably have very bad laugh lines, which shouldn't be too good for the acting, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Lastly, I asked this question to all of my guests. There's this beautiful quote by Horace Mann that says, "Be ashamed to die until you have scored a victory for humankind." You know, what is that victory of yours?
That is actually something that I've taken this entire year, entire beginning of the year and the whole of last year, to think about what is it that I would want to be known for before I leave this earth. And I think the legacy that I want to leave behind is that I left this world a bit better than when I came in. I want to make sure that I make a positive impact. Like, we could just live our life day to day for daily momentary happiness that will just it will be so fleeting, coming and going. But to make a meaningful impact, to impact other people's lives, I focus a lot on impacting people's lives, but even just to leave the earth in a better place than what we got it. I mean, we pollute so much. In 10, 30, 40 years, I mean, I want to have children. I want them to experience what we experience. So we need to take care of it. We need to take care of the planet. We need to take care of the people that are on this planet. And it can seem quite daunting, like it's so many things to do. But it's really important to make sure that we are impacting this world in a positive way. I know that we're running over time, but I need to tell you this, that yesterday, actually, somebody sent me a message, and it was another person that you interviewed, Robin Rousseau, the actor.
Oh, yeah.
I'd sent her a message, and I was just thinking about it, and she sent me like this long voice note, and she said to me that I don't even know it, but because I'm so bold about my faith, it inspired her to be bold about her faith. And what I said to her is that when I made that choice to be bold about my faith, I said, if I can inspire one person, and I can help one person, then I will feel like I've done enough.
I really love your positivity. I love your outlook. And I wish you all the best for all of your future projects. But thank you ever so much for joining me. Thank you ever so much for your time.
Thank you for what you are doing. I love this platform that you started. So thank you for having me a part of it. And I hope that the next time that we talk, we will actually meet one another.
Exactly.
And we'll actually get to speak in person.